Hi, I'm Brigham Larson with Brigham Larson Pianos, and this piano that I just finished up and is out of the shop now is a 1910 McPhail. It was in the Salt Lake City public school system for a long time, and now, as far as I know, I'm the second owner. And I did a very, very thorough refurbishing. I kind of fell in love with these big old uprights starting when I began as a piano technician, but I really started to get in depth working on these pianos, maybe starting about 2000, something like that. I'd been a piano technician by then for a number of years, and I started working on them, and I discovered almost by accident that a lot of people, not just me, really like these big old uprights. And ever since then, I've developed a checklist that I'll go through with you. It's not a rebuild by any means, but it's what I characterize as a refurbishing. And that checklist started out all those years ago as really just I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 points long, and it's grown and grown and grown to, at this point, it fills up 3.5 pages and is something like 120 points long. So it's very thorough, and I'll go over some of the highlights with you of everything that I've done to this piano, and then I'll play it for you. And it sounds great. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And let me mention briefly, it's 54 inches tall, which I really like the big booming bass of larger pianos, particularly about 48 inches and up. I really like the bass. So the checklist that I've done on this piano. The very first thing, every piano, even a piano older than 10 years old, is just absolutely filthy inside. So the first thing I do is I tear everything apart, basically down to the skeleton of the piano, and clean it very thoroughly. I take it outside, blow it out, and then go over all of the wood with a wood cleaner. Blow out the action. I take the action out, take the pedals out, take everything apart, take the keys out. Clean it very thoroughly. That's the very first thing. Also, I recovered the keys, so you can see all of those keys. Everything is beautiful and shiny and white and buffed, and all of these notches are in a beautiful straight line, very nice and straight. Everything is filed all the way down to the edges. I've also replaced what are called the bushings on the keys, which keep the keys moving just straight up and down and not back and forth. Some other highlights. I've replaced, or rather reshaped the hammers. These are the original hammers, all except one of them that I had to replace. And right here at the tip where it actually contacts the string, what you get is cuts in the felt after decades of hitting that string again and again and again. So I reshaped them to bring it back to a rounded, kind of a pear shape hammer. Some other highlights, I've replaced all the bridle straps, I've tightened everything, lubricated everything, done a full regulation, and regulation is kind of a broad term referring to giving what gives the piano the proper touch. There's a fairly narrow range of what will function in a piano. When I say function, meaning you hit the key and a sound comes out, but there's a very narrow range of what will function correctly. And again, I would say any piano older than 10, 20 years at the most is going to need some regulation. Where this piano is 100 years old, it obviously needed a lot of regulation. I put it on so that the touch is perfect. So some examples of what I do when I regulate a piano. The distance, for example, that you can depress the key, it's called the key dip. I regulate that, and the sharps as well. The distance from the hammers to the strings when the hammers are at rest. everything. I've aligned everything so these hammers are striking right in the center of the strings. The distance, if you watch there, the distance that hammer, you can see it, that hammer pulls away from the string is going to be consistent from one note to the next. It's 1/8 of an inch all the way across. That's essential in the proper touch. These are called the back checks right here. The distance that those contact this part here, called the catcher. The damper lift, you can see those dampers lift nice and evenly. I've regulated that so that it's very consistent and smooth. Took care of any kind of pinning issues. Lots of everything and lots of moving parts, and all of those moving parts pivot, rotate on pins. So pianos can develop pinning issues, and I took care of all of that on this piano. What else? Of course, I brought it up to pitch, up to concert pitch, tuned it, did some voicing on those hammers. Oh, the pedals, we can look at the pedals. Replated those pedals. Those are the original pedals, but they look like they're brand new because they're replated, along with the lock here. Same thing, that's the original lock, but I replated it. Well, let's play it. Let's listen to it. Very rich, strong, round tone that I like. This is, and the feel is very smooth and consistent. Of course, you'll have to experience that in person. Actually, by the way, I should mention that I started. This is my full checklist is quite a process, and it takes a long time. I did a lot of this checklist maybe about a year and a half ago, and then I got swamped, and I tuned it a year and a half ago. Then I got swamped with rebuilding projects for people, pianos in their homes. And so I set this aside while I was doing those, and then I just came back to it about a week ago, and the tuning was almost dead on. I did end up tuning it again a few days ago, but that bodes really well for the tuning stability of this piano. That is an awesome piano. I'm really proud of how this piano turned out, and it will last decades. Really good shape, great tone, great touch. This piano you can buy with confidence, because I'm very confident about this piano and how it sounds. No questions in my mind about this piano whatsoever. Come in and put me to the test. See how you like my work.